I should have ignored it. The signal cut through the colony's comnet like shards of glass. Irregular, deliberate, almost human. Every other night it was static, noise, interference. But tonight it felt different, personal, targeted. Something in me reacted before my mind could even ask why. I dropped the crate of phase rations I was hauling down the dim corridor of Outpost Vega 7. The metallic clang echoed against rusted walls, shadows rippling across the narrow hall like crawling specters. Supply runs were supposed to be predictable, routine, safe. But safety had been redefined the instant I saw her. Selara. She stepped from the shadows as if she had been part of them all along. Her skin glimmered faintly, a pearlescent veil of alien light, and her violet eyes, glowing softly, scanned the corridor with precision. No fear, no pleading, just measured certainty, as though she already knew I would protect her. Protocol screamed at me to retreat, to report, to do nothing. But instinct overrode logic. Her gaze met mine. "Human, shield me," she whispered. The words were impossible to ignore. Not desperate, not pleading. Certain. My body moved before my mind could consent. The crate hit the floor with a metallic crash, scattering ration cubes in every direction. She didn't flinch, didn't move. She trusted me. The automated patrol drones rounded the corner, their sensor lights slicing through the corridor. I stepped forward instinctively, blocking their scanning path with my body. My chest tightened under the cold beams. A single chirp from a drone's speaker sounded like accusation. I raised a hand, silent, and the drones moved on. Footsteps faded. Silence. "Why me?" I muttered, voice barely above the hum of the emergency lights. "You weren't looking for someone to save," Selara replied softly. Her tone carried precision, like a surgical instrument. "That's why I knew you would." Her eyes pulsed, faint bioluminescence sinking eerily with my own heartbeat. Reality bent, as if the air itself had shifted around her presence. I gathered the scattered rations. Selara followed, silent and deliberate. Every step was calculated. Her awareness of the corridor, of hidden corners, vents, and forgotten maintenance doors suggested she had navigated this maze before. "Do humans always hide behind steel?" she asked, curiosity in her voice. "Some of us live behind worse," I replied. "Is this your cage or sanctuary?" Her question caught me off guard. I almost laughed, but it came out dry and brittle. "Depends." Ahead, the corridor narrowed, leading to a maintenance junction few humans knew existed. I keyed in the override code, the door groaning as it reluctantly swung open. Dust floated in lazy motes, catching the dim emergency lights. Crates of old supplies, medical scraps, phase adhesives, the remnants of colonization. Invisible. Safe for now. Selara stepped in, paused, and absorbed the room. Silence filled the space between us. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. "You can eat," I offered, holding out a nutrient cube. She took it carefully, turning it in her fingers as if it were precious. "Gray," she whispered. "That's the flavor," I said. She gave a faint, soft laugh, the first human sound I'd heard from her. "What's your name?" I asked. She hesitated. "They never gave me one." The admission cut deeper than I expected. I chose one for her, Selara. Her violet eyes lifted, studying me. "Selara," she repeated, tasting it. "It means hope." "Hope you carry close," I said. She brushed her palm across her chest, almost carving it into her skin. "Then you must keep mine," she said, voice steady. "Yours?" "Yes. So I remember I exist." From the shadows near the storage crates, a soft mechanical whir stirred. I tensed. Saint emerged from a narrow vent, a humanoid figure with faint metallic seams tracing his arms, eyes glowing a calm blue. "Status?" I whispered. "Scanners active nearby," Saint replied, voice neutral, calm. "We have minutes, not hours." I nodded. Selara's gaze lingered on him for a fraction of a second, curiosity mixed with caution. "Stay," I instructed, pulling her behind a stack of crates. Silence fell again, punctuated by the faint hum of the outpost. Then another sound. Footsteps, heavier this time, deliberate. Romeo. He emerged from the far corridor, his uniform spotless, expression sharp. A rival, a hunter, a man who followed rules but bent them for his own gain. Selara froze, instinctively shrinking back. I pressed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "We move on my signal." A metallic pulse reverberated through the floor, a scanner drone overhead. Instinct took over. I stepped forward, shielding Selara. Saint moved fluidly beside us, analyzing paths and exits. Romeo's gaze swept over us. He didn't recognize her, but he recognized me. "Jeremy," he called, voice controlled, dangerous. "Step aside." I didn't answer. Selara squeezed my hand. Her trust anchored me. Outside, the desert wind howled. Somewhere deep in the colony, sirens began a distant, irregular pattern. Our time had already begun to run out. I swallowed, heart hammering. I glanced at Selara. Her violet eyes met mine, luminous, alive, unafraid. "Human. Cover me," she whispered again. This time not asking, commanding. And I realized I wouldn't just protect her. I would follow her into the void, whatever came next. The corridor darkened, and shadows shifted as if alive. Something waited beyond the walls. Patient. I could feel it watching. Romeo steps closer, his intentions unclear, while patrol drones hover above. Time is running out. Selara's safety, and whatever secret she carries, hang by a thread. Romeo's boots echoed down the corridor, measured, deliberate, like a predator closing in. His flashlight beam sliced through the darkness and stopped square on my chest. Selara stiffened behind me, her violet eyes narrowing to slits. I felt her hand tighten around my wrist. Not in fear, but in warning. "Jeremy," Romeo said calmly, too calmly. "Step aside." Now I didn't move. The red emergency lights flickered overhead, making the steel walls breathe with ghostly pulses. Saint shifted beside me, his metal frame humming faintly as his sensors swept the air. "Saint," Romeo snapped, recognizing him. "Deactivate. You're under security protocol." 12 Saint didn't flinch. His glowing blue eyes focused on Romeo like a wolf studying its prey. "Protocol 12 is obsolete," he said flatly. Romeo smirked. "Then I'll remind you why it exists." The patrol drones floated into the junction, their scanning beams fanning out like razor wire. Selara pressed closer against my back, small tremors running through her body. Not weakness, something else. Energy, contained. I raised my hand slowly. "She's not a threat." "Then why are you hiding her?" Romeo's voice sharpened like broken glass. The air in the corridor thickened, the hum of the outpost merging with the pounding of my pulse. Then Selara moved. She stepped forward into the light, her violet gaze locking onto Romeo's. The beams from the drones hit her skin and bent, shimmering like light through water. It wasn't a reflection. It was deflection. Romeo's smirk faltered. "She's alien," he whispered. "No kidding," I muttered. "Contact must be reported to command." "You know that she's not what they think," I shot back. "She's exactly what they think," Romeo countered. "A threat." Saint's head tilted slightly. "Multiple drones inbound. We have 37 seconds to relocate." Selara's pulse of light grew brighter, flooding the corridor with a soft violet glow. For a heartbeat, the drones froze. Optics scrambled. She had done that. "Move," she whispered, her voice a sharp wind. I grabbed her hand and bolted down the narrow maintenance shaft. Saint followed silently, his mechanical joints barely making a sound. Behind us, Romeo cursed and radioed something I couldn't make out. The drones recovered and shrieked back to life. Alarms detonated across the outpost. We were officially being hunted. We emerged into a disused service bay. The walls were stripped, the floor cold and cracked. I slammed the door panel shut and twisted the manual lock. "We can't outrun the entire outpost," I panted. Selara stepped closer, her glowing skin dimming as she controlled her power. "You don't have to outrun them. Just outsmart them." Saint extended his wrist, a map of the outpost flickering to life in blue light. "Section Delta remains unmonitored since the reactor breach 2 cycles ago." "Delta's unstable," I said. "So are we," Saint replied. A door hissed open behind us. My heart lurched. But it wasn't Romeo. A woman stepped through, black tactical jacket half unzipped, a plasma torch at her hip. Quinn. Her sharp eyes swept the bay, instantly clocking Selara. Jeremy, she said evenly. What the hell have you done? I exhaled hard. I need your help. She looked at Selara again. She's the signal. The one Command's been trying to track. She's not what they think, I repeated. Quinn's jaw clenched. She wasn't just a medic. She'd been Command once before she walked away. You realize Romeo's probably got half the outpost locked down right now, right? I don't care. She stared at me for a long second, then at Selara. What are you? Solara's gaze didn't waver. I am not your enemy. Quinn's brow furrowed. It wasn't the words. It was how she said them. Precise, almost human. Saint, she barked, can you loop the surveillance grid? Saint's hands moved like liquid code. Yes, but only for 6 minutes. Then Romeo will know 6 minutes is enough, Quinn muttered. Follow me. She led us through a labyrinth of rusted catwalks and sealed bulkheads. Selara moved with unnatural grace, as if every hidden path was already etched into her mind. Romeo's voice crackled over the comm system, echoing through the walls. Sector lockdown initiated. All unauthorized personnel will be detained. Jeremy, if you're hearing this, don't be a hero. I clenched my jaw. We reached the Delta barrier, an old blast door, scorched black from the reactor breach. It smelled like burned metal and forgotten secrets. Quinn keyed in an override, Saint injected a code, and Selara simply touched the panel. The door obeyed her. A gust of warm, pressurized air rushed out. Inside lay a dark chamber, alive with low, rhythmic pulses. Selara stepped in without hesitation. The violet glow of her skin merged with something deeper in the chamber, a core, beating like a heart. Quinn stared. This isn't just a reactor. It's alive. Selara turned to me, her voice low but steady. This is where I was made. My stomach dropped. Made? I didn't escape the colony, she whispered. I was born inside it. The chamber lights flickered. Sirens blared louder, closer. Romeo was coming. Saint's voice cut through the chaos. Hostiles approaching. Estimated arrival. 2 minutes, Quinn swore under her breath. Jeremy, whatever this is, you're in it now. Selara placed her glowing palm on the reactor heart. The walls lit up in response. I felt the air change, thicker, charged, alive. This is why they want me, she said softly. I am the signal. Romeo's voice boomed over the comm again, closer now. Jeremy, open the door. You don't understand what she is. He was wrong. I understood too well. I turned to Saint and Quinn. We hold him off here. Selara stepped closer, her hand brushing mine. Not begging, not pleading. Trusting. The reactor pulsed brighter. The walls trembled, and somewhere in the dark, the real hunt began. Romeo is seconds away from reaching the Delta chamber. Selara has revealed she was made inside the colony. The outpost is on full lockdown, and Jeremy must choose whether to defend her or hand her over. The Delta chamber's hum wasn't just noise. It was alive, vibrating through my bones. Selara's hand remained pressed against the pulsating core. The violet glow from her skin merged with the chamber lights, painting the walls with flickering streaks of alien energy. For a second, I forgot Romeo existed. Then the alarms cut through the illusion. High-pitched, metallic, unavoidable. The sound made Saint's sensors vibrate. They're here, he said, voice low but urgent. I glanced at Quinn. Her eyes had sharpened, calculating. 2 minutes at most. After that, the entire outpost will be swarming. Selara turned to me, her glowing eyes reflecting in the chamber's polished metal floor. I can control it, she whispered, but it will hurt. And I won't survive unshielded. You won't survive? I asked sharply. Not the way they hunt, she said. There was no fear in her voice, only certainty. I can delay them. Buy us time. But you, she looked at me almost pleading with that silent, wordless weight she carried. You protect me, I swallowed. I didn't know what kind of protection could withstand Command's full might, but I nodded. Then let's begin, she said. Her palm pressed harder against the reactor heart. A pulse shot through the room, and the lights warped around her, bending as if the metal itself was liquid. I stepped forward instinctively, placing myself between her and the incoming threat. My chest thumped as if syncing with hers. Saint moved beside me, sensors scanning every shadow, every corner. A low metallic screech echoed from the corridor. Romeo. He had arrived, and he wasn't alone. Two other operatives flanked him, plasma rifles humming. "Jeremy," Romeo called, voice reverberating. "You don't understand. She is a weapon, a signal. Everything your kind fears." "I understand enough," I snapped, my fingers brushing against Selara's hand. "She's not just a signal. She's alive." Quinn crouched, pulling a small device from her belt. "EMP disruptor. Could disable drones temporarily. You need to buy a seconds. That was all we had." Selara's pulse accelerated. The core responded, sending concentric waves across the chamber floor. Each wave distorted the air, flickered the lights, and scrambled sensors. The approaching footsteps slowed, confused. Romeo cursed. "Shields won't hold." "Then you'll die trying," I yelled, adrenaline spiking. I grabbed a nearby maintenance pipe and swung it toward the drones. Sparks flew as Saint jammed their optics. Selara's glow intensified. The room felt alive. The air crackled like static under my skin. And then I noticed it. The chamber itself was responding to her emotions. Every flicker, every pulse was tied to her fear, her urgency, her trust. "Jeremy, you need to step closer," she said, voice strained. "Help me anchor it. Only together can we stabilize the core's pulse long enough to escape." I didn't hesitate. My hand found hers again. When we touched, the air bent around us like a storm, yet simultaneously it calmed. Her violet glow spread across the floor, the walls, even Saint's metallic frame. When we touched, the air bent around us like a storm, yet simultaneously it calmed. Her violet glow spread across the floor, the walls, even Saint's metallic frame. For a heartbeat, I felt like we weren't fighting against the outpost. We were rewriting its reality. The door behind us burst open. Romeo and his team charged in, rifles ready. Their optics glared, but the chamber warped them. Light bending, reflections twisting, weapons momentarily useless. "Move now!" Selara screamed. Quinn hit the EMP disruptor. Drones shuddered, sparks flying, and their lights died. Romeo's operatives faltered, their guns useless. We bolted through the chamber, Selara still connected to the core. Each step felt surreal, the metal floor rippling underfoot, the walls bending around us. My pulse raced, each heartbeat syncing with the alien rhythm of her energy. We reached a narrow service hatch. Quinn keyed it open, and Saint scanned for traps. "Route clear for 60 seconds, he warned. I glanced at Selara. Her glow dimmed slightly, exhaustion radiating from her. "We can't stop," I said. "No, not yet," she whispered. Her voice trembled, but the violet light in her eyes burned brighter than ever. We slipped through the hatch into a dimly lit maintenance corridor. Silence reigned for a moment, broken only by our breathing. Then, a whisper. "You shouldn't have come here." Saint's sensors flared. Quinn froze. I turned. And there, on a raised catwalk above us, silhouetted in half-light, stood another figure. One we hadn't anticipated. Tall, shrouded in black armor. No visible face, but eyes glinting a cold blue. The air felt heavier, charged. My stomach dropped. Who is that?" Quinn muttered. Selara didn't answer. Her glow flickered, a warning. "He is not human," she said, voice low, fear creeping in for the first time. The figure raised one hand. The air vibrated. I felt it inside my chest, a pulse that matched Selara's energy, but darker, malicious, commanding. Romeo's voice came from below. "Do not engage! Stand down!" I didn't. Something primal surged in me. Protecting Selara was no longer a choice. It was instinct. The armored figure stepped forward. And then, the floor beneath us vibrated violently, metal screeching. The reactor core's pulse had reached the farthest chamber. Something inside it had awakened. Selara screamed. Her violet glow exploded in the corridor, washing the walls with blinding light. And then, silence. The armored figure vanished. Romeo swore, but I knew it wasn't over. Selara collapsed against the wall, breathing heavy, the glow fading. I held her close. "Are you okay?" I... I think so," she whispered. But that was only the beginning. Quinn and Saint exchanged glances. "He's coming," Saint said simply. The corridor ahead was dark, unknown, but we had to move. And I knew one thing. This enemy wasn't just after Selara. He was after everything she had inside her. The mysterious armored figure appears for the first time. He has a connection to Selara's core, suggesting deeper stakes. The reactor pulse has awakened something more dangerous than the outpost security. The team must escape the corridor, but time is running out. The corridor felt endless, shadows stretching like claws along the metal walls. Selara leaned against me, her pulse faint under my hand. The violet glow in her eyes was dim, flickering with every hurried step. "Stay close," I whispered, my voice swallowed by the hum of the maintenance ducts. Saint floated a few inches above the floor, sensors scanning, while Quinn scanned the walls with her portable interface, hunting for traps. We'd escaped the initial sweep, but the armored figure, whatever he was, had left a scar in the air. The pulse of his energy lingered, cold, invasive, like a shadow pressing against our chests. "I don't understand," Quinn muttered. "How can one person, one alien apparently, disrupt every system we have in the entire sector?" I glanced at Selara. Her hands shook slightly, but she held her head high. "It's not a person," she whispered. "It's a consciousness, a fragment of someone who controlled everything we left behind." "Someone who controlled what?" I asked. Her eyes flickered. "The ancients. My people. They were erased decades ago, hidden behind layers of code and memories. But some survived, like him. He's one of them," Saint's sensors buzzed. "Warning, multiple heat signatures detected in Corridor Delta 9. Approach speed, calculated for interception." I froze. Romeo's voice rang out from comms. "Jeremy, it's not just him. Someone inside your group is compromised. He's already here, and he's using you to get to her." I turned sharply to Quinn and Saint. Quinn's eyes were wide, but she didn't respond immediately. Saint's metallic frame tilted slightly, an almost imperceptible pause. "No," I thought. "It can't be." A sudden crackle on my wrist comms confirmed my worst fear. A hidden override signal had been transmitted from inside our ranks. The armored figure didn't just appear, he was guided. Selara's hand found mine instinctively. "Do you trust them?" she whispered, her voice trembling, but not with fear. "If not, I can shield us temporarily, but it will cost me strength." I felt heat rise in my chest. Trust had become a weapon. I had no choice. "We move together," I said firmly, gripping her hand. "No one gets past us." The first wave hit. Mechanical drones, silent and lethal, descended from a maintenance shaft above, their claws clicking against the metal floor. Quinn immediately deployed her disruptor, but it was partially jammed. The signal wasn't random. It was too precise. Saint moved to intercept, but his servos whined under the coordinated assault. Sparks flew and one drone slammed into a wall, sending a shower of metal fragments toward us. "Selara, now!" I shouted. Her violet glow flared. The corridor warped under her energy, bending light, metal, and sound itself. The drones faltered, their circuits confused by the sudden temporal distortion. We moved through the chaos, racing toward a side hatch that led deeper into the sector. But at the hatch, the armored figure appeared. He didn't run. He didn't attack. He just stood, towering, eyes glowing cold blue. His presence. It wasn't just physical, it was mental. I felt it first. A pull at my thoughts, a subtle intrusion, questioning my memories, probing my fears. "Jeremy," Selara whispered urgently, "don't let him touch your mind. Focus on me." I blinked, shook the sensation off, and locked my gaze on her. Every step became synchronized with hers. I realized then that her presence wasn't just protective. It was anchoring me, stabilizing my mind against the intrusion. The armored figure's hand shot out. A pulse of dark energy rippled through the corridor, metal screeching, the floor shaking. I lunged instinctively, throwing myself between Selara and the pulse. Pain shot up my arms as energy grazed me. but the violet shield around her absorbed most of it. "Who are you?" I yelled, voice raw. "Why are you hunting her?" For the first time he spoke, his voice was layered, metallic, but unmistakably human at the core. "My name is Calix," he said, "and she carries what was stolen from me." Selara froze. He was one of the last. Not erased, not gone. He survived the purge. "Jeremy," Quinn hissed, "you need to decide. He's not waiting. He's manipulating every system in this sector. You're exposed. The words slammed into me like a hammer. I glanced at Saint. His sensors locked onto Quinn, not Calix, but there was a hesitation, a flicker of something I hadn't seen before. You, I whispered, disbelief hitting like ice. Quinn's face was unreadable. "I had orders," she said quietly. "Orders to retrieve her. For him." Selara's hand left mine, trembling. Her glow dimmed sharply, her breathing shallow. "No," she whispered. "Not like this." I felt the walls closing in. Betrayal wasn't a concept anymore. It was flesh, metal, and bone. Quinn wasn't just a traitor. She was the key to Calix finding Selara. Calix stepped closer, voice calm. "You don't need to hurt anyone. Give her to me, and it ends here." I shook my head. "Never." Selara's glow surged. The corridor warped again. Saint moved beside me, blades spinning, shielding us from drones still cascading from the ceiling. Then, the hatch behind us exploded. A shockwave threw us forward. Selara and I collided with the wall, pain radiating through my shoulder. Dust and metal shards filled the air. Through the haze, I saw Quinn standing silently, holding a small, sleek device, the override signal. "I can still make this right," she said softly. "I can help you escape." Selara looked at her. The violet glow flickered, anger, fear, and despair mingling in her gaze. "I trusted you." Quinn's eyes didn't flinch. "You never had a choice." The air rippled. Calix's energy reached out, touching Selara's core. The ground beneath us hummed. Time felt wrong. Seconds stretched and contracted like broken glass. And then, something inside Selara responded. Not violent, not destructive, but sentient. A low hum filled the corridor. The violet glow exploded into white-hot brilliance, engulfing everyone, including me, Selara, Saint, Quinn, and Calix. For a heartbeat, the world froze. Then darkness. Quinn's betrayal is revealed, connecting her to Calix. Selara's core reacts violently, suggesting untapped power. The explosion of energy leaves everyone in darkness, unsure who survives. Darkness. It wasn't empty. It was heavy, pulsing, alive. My ears rang with the echo of Selara's power, the collision of energy, the hum of machinery overloaded. I struggled to breathe, each inhale tasting like metal and ozone. Then I felt it, movement beside me, Selara's hand brushing mine. Alive, still alive. A sudden crackle on my wrist comms confirmed my worst fear. A hidden override signal had been transmitted from inside our ranks. The armored figure didn't just appear, he was guided. Selara's hand found mine instinctively. "Do you trust them?" she whispered, her voice trembling, but not with fear. "If not, I can shield us temporarily, but it will cost me strength." I felt heat rise in my chest. Trust had become a weapon. I had no choice. "We move together," I said firmly, gripping her hand. "No one gets past us." The first wave hit. Mechanical drones, silent and lethal, descended from a maintenance shaft above, their claws clicking against the metal floor. Quinn immediately deployed her disruptor, but it was partially jammed. The signal wasn't random. It was too precise. Saint moved to intercept, but his servos whined under the coordinated assault. Sparks flew and one drone slammed into a wall, sending a shower of metal fragments toward us. "Selara, now!" I shouted. Her violet glow flared. The corridor warped under her energy, bending light, metal, and sound itself. The drones faltered, their circuits confused by the sudden temporal distortion. We moved through the chaos, racing toward a side hatch that led deeper into the sector. But at the hatch, the armored figure appeared. He didn't run. He didn't attack. He just stood, towering, eyes glowing cold blue. His presence. It wasn't just physical, it was mental. I felt it first, a pull at my thoughts, a subtle intrusion, questioning my memories, probing my fears. Jeremy, Selara whispered urgently, don't let him touch your mind. Focus on me. I blinked, shook the sensation off, and locked my gaze on her. Every step became synchronized with hers. I realized then that her presence wasn't just protective. It was anchoring me, stabilizing my mind against the intrusion. The armored figure's hand shot out. A pulse of dark energy rippled through the corridor, metal screeching, the floor shaking. I lunged instinctively, throwing myself between Selara and the pulse. Pain shot up my arms as energy grazed me, but the violet shield around her absorbed most of it. "Who are you?" I yelled, voice raw. "Why are you hunting her?" For the first time he spoke. His voice was layered, metallic, but unmistakably human at the core. "My name is Calix," he said, "and she carries what was stolen from me." Selara froze. He was one of the last. Not erased, not gone. He survived the purge. "Jeremy," Quinn hissed, "you need to decide. He's not waiting. He's manipulating every system in this sector. You're exposed. The words slammed into me like a hammer. I glanced at Saint. His sensors locked onto Quinn, not Calix, but there was a hesitation, a flicker of something I hadn't seen before. You, I whispered, disbelief hitting like ice. Quinn's face was unreadable. "I had orders," she said quietly. "Orders to retrieve her. For him." Selara's hand left mine trembling. Her glow dimmed sharply, her breathing shallow. "No," she whispered. "Not like this." I felt the walls closing in. Betrayal wasn't a concept anymore. It was flesh, metal, and bone. Quinn wasn't just a traitor. She was the key to Calix finding Selara. Calix stepped closer, voice calm. "You don't need to hurt anyone. Give her to me, and it ends here." I shook my head. "Never." Selara's glow surged. The corridor warped again. Saint moved beside me, blades spinning, shielding us from drones still cascading from the ceiling. Then, the hatch behind us exploded. A shockwave threw us forward. Selara and I collided with the wall, pain radiating through my shoulder. Dust and metal shards filled the air. Through the haze, I saw Quinn standing silently, holding a small, sleek device, the override signal. "I can still make this right," she said softly. "I can help you escape." Selara looked at her. The violet glow flickered, anger, fear, and despair mingling in her gaze. "I trusted you." Quinn's eyes didn't flinch. "You never had a choice." The air rippled. Calix's energy reached out, touching Selara's core. The ground beneath us hummed. Time felt wrong. Seconds stretched and contracted like broken glass. And then, something inside Selara responded. Not violent, not destructive, but sentient. A low hum filled the corridor. The violet glow exploded into white-hot brilliance, engulfing everyone, including me, Selara, Saint, Quinn, and Calix. For a heartbeat, the world froze. Then darkness. Quinn's betrayal is revealed, connecting her to Calix. Selara's core reacts violently, suggesting untapped power. The explosion of energy leaves everyone in darkness, unsure who survives. Darkness. It wasn't empty. It was heavy, pulsing, alive. My ears rang with the echo of Selara's power, the collision of energy, the hum of machinery overloaded. I struggled to breathe, each inhale tasting like metal and ozone. Then I felt it, movement beside me, Selara's hand brushing mine. Alive, still alive. Her violet glow had vanished, but warmth radiated from her core. Subtle, steady, almost human. "Jeremy?" Her voice was a whisper, fragile but determined. "Are you okay?" I coughed, my vision clearing. The corridor around us was wrecked. Sparks danced along twisted metal, vents hissing steam like wounded beasts. Saint floated nearby, one servo arm bent, sensors flickering. but functional. Quinn was nowhere in sight. And then I sensed him. Calyx. His energy hadn't vanished with the explosion. It lingered, crawling along the walls, probing. Not attacking. Yet. Stay close, I muttered. Selara nodded, her small hand tightening around mine. The pulse in her chest felt like a drumbeat, guiding me. Something had awakened in her core, something I hadn't seen before. A soft glow emerged under her skin, silver threads weaving across her arms, her neck, like a circuit network mapping the air itself. Jeremy? I can feel them. Inside, she said quietly. Not just Calyx. Others. Watching. Tracking. We're not safe. Anywhere Saint's sensors beeped. Warning. Structural integrity compromised. Corridor collapse imminent. I glanced down. The floor had cracked under the force of Selara's surge. One wrong step, and we'd plunge into the lower maintenance tunnels, depths no human or alien dared traverse alone. Then we move, I said, determination hardening. Together. We stumbled forward. Every flicker of light revealed shadows that weren't natural. Glimpses of shapes bending through the walls, whispers of thought brushing my mind. My pulse quickened. This was no ordinary pursuit. The ancients' remnants had found us. They weren't hunting, they were testing. Selara's glow intensified. Each step seemed to sync with the vibrations of the corridor, as if she were tuning the space around us. I reached out, touching her arm. Her eyes, violet once more, met mine, sharp, clear, commanding. Jeremy, I need you to trust me, she whispered. Not just to survive, but to awaken. Awaken? I asked, uncertainty stabbing my chest. The core. It's not just energy. It's sentient, aware. It can shield, it can fight, it can rewrite space if I let it. But I need your anchor. Without it, I could lose myself. I swallowed. My heartbeat synced with hers. Every instinct screamed danger, but I couldn't pull away. She wasn't asking for protection. She was asking for partnership. The corridor ended at a heavy blast door, twisted, scorched from the previous explosion. I tried the manual override. It was locked, not a security lock, a seal from the core itself. Selara stepped forward, placing her hands on the door. The glow beneath her skin pulsed, and the metal began to shift, bending like liquid. A rhythmic hum filled the air, vibrating through my bones. Then came a voice, not Calyx's, not human, deep, resonant, layered with echo. Selara, you awaken. Her eyes flickered white-hot, then violet. I know you, she whispered. I remember fragments. The door dissolved under her power, revealing a chamber unlike anything I had ever seen. Holographic constellations floated midair, ancient symbols rotating, alive, like the history of her people mapped in light. At the center stood a pedestal, a cube of black crystal, humming with energy, scarred as if struck by lightning countless times. Calyx appeared behind the cube, shadowed, expression unreadable. You shouldn't have survived the explosion, he said. His energy crackled around him, sharp, predatory. And yet, you awaken. Interesting, Selara stepped onto the floor, her feet barely touching the ground. The core's energy spread from her, like ripples in a pond, pushing against Calyx's force. I didn't survive, she said. I chose to rise. The cube reacted. Silver strands leaped into the air, wrapping around Selara. Her body shimmered, melding with the core, becoming both conductor and weapon. Jeremy, hold my hand, she whispered, the urgency cutting through the chaos. I did and felt the core pulse through me. Visions, sounds, emotions, all of her people, centuries of memory. The room vibrated, walls groaning under the intensity. Calyx raised his hands. Shadows twisted into weapons, energy tendrils lashing toward her. But Selara moved her hand, and time seemed to warp. The tendrils slowed, twisted midair, then dissolved. Her control was precise, terrifyingly elegant. I realized then, she wasn't just surviving. She was reclaiming her legacy. Every pulse, every shimmer was a message to the universe. She existed, unbound. And then, the unthinkable happened. The core spoke. not in words, but through Selara. Jeremy, you are chosen. My heart stopped. Me? Chosen? Not just a human, Selara whispered, tears mixing with sweat. You anchor me. Without you, I am chaos. With you, we could reshape everything. Calix laughed, a sound that cracked the air. Chosen. By her? By a fragment of energy? You're blind, Jeremy. The core doesn't choose. It awakens. And when it does, it consumes all who are weak. I tightened my grip on Selara's hand. Weak? We've survived more than he could imagine. And now I knew what I had to do. Selara's glow exploded again, brighter than before, stretching tendrils of silver light toward Calix. His laugh faltered, eyes widening as the core began to envelop him, testing, probing, breaking his defenses. But then, from the shadows behind us, a familiar shape emerged. Quinn device in hand, override signal active, expression unreadable. You don't understand, she said softly. The core, it's not what you think. It chooses, but it also judges. And you, her gaze locked on me, are the only one who can survive it. Selara's hand tightened around mine. The core hummed, pulsing with a heartbeat of its own, and the chamber quaked. The chamber vibrated beneath our feet. Selara's glow stretched like living lightning, silver threads weaving through the air, tracing constellations I couldn't comprehend. The core pulsed with a heartbeat that matched hers and mine. I didn't understand why my own pulse felt wrong without her hand in mine. Calix stumbled back, his energy flickering, unstable. You're only human, he spat, trying to mask fear. How can you control her? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My role was no longer passive. Every instinct screamed to protect her. Yes, but now it felt deeper. A resonance in my chest, sinking with the core. It wasn't just Selara's power. It was ours, together. Quinn stepped forward, her device glowing faintly. Jeremy, she said, voice calm but firm, the core is alive. It judges not by strength alone, but by intent. Every heartbeat matters. Every decision you make, right now, determines who survives. I blinked. Judges? Yes, she said, and you are being measured. Calix, he fails, Calix snarled. Energy erupted around him, twisting into spiked tendrils aimed at Selara. She moved fluidly, her hand outstretched. Time slowed in the corridor. The core bent reality in microseconds. Every attack froze. Every shadowed motion stopped midair. I could see the threads of energy, the paths each tendril would take, and the core redirected them, twisting them harmlessly into light. Selara's eyes locked on mine. Jeremy, anchor me now. I swallowed, stepping closer. Touching her hand, I felt everything. Not just the core, not just her, fragments of her species, memories of planets long gone, civilizations erased. And in that moment, I understood. The core's judgment wasn't only for her, it was for me too. Calix growled and surged forward, but the chamber bent against him. Every step he took felt like moving through water, resistance against his will. The core tested him. His energy faltered, failing, and for the first time I saw panic. Not arrogance, not control. Then Quinn's voice cut through, urgent. Jeremy, focus! The core senses doubt. Doubt. I realized I had it. A fraction of fear, a shadow of hesitation. Could I survive this? Could I protect Selara if the core judged me unworthy? I clenched my jaw, breathing steady, letting instinct take over. My hand gripped hers tighter. I choose her. The core pulsed stronger. The silver thread stretched, wrapping around Calix, not to kill, but to contain. He screamed, energy sparking, but it was no match. I could feel Selara's calm flowing into me, her confidence becoming my own. Jeremy, she whispered, voice barely audible over the core's hum. Do you understand? You're not just helping me survive. You are shaping the core's will. I nodded. Yes, I understood now. Every beat of our hearts was a vote. Every thought, intention, trust. It all counted. And we had chosen life together. Calix's containment field shattered under his desperation. his tendrils swinging wildly. But the core pulsed again, resonating through Selara and me. This time it was no longer defensive, it was active, a wave of judgment sweeping through the chamber. Calyx fell to his knees, his energy collapsing inward, folding him into a cocoon of light. His screams echoed, then faded. Silence. I exhaled. Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. The core shimmered, pulsing more intensely. Selara's eyes widened. Something else is coming, not him, another presence. From the far side of the chamber, the air rippled. Shapes shimmered, tall, alien, undulating, impossible to fully perceive. Quinn gasped. The Overseers. I froze. Overseers were legends, remnants of a species thought extinct, the ones who had originally constructed the core. They exist? I whispered. Selara's hand trembled slightly in mine. They do. And they're here to judge us, to decide whether this awakening is allowed to continue. The energy around the chamber shifted, bending gravity, light, even time itself. Every second stretched unnaturally, every movement amplified. My chest throbbed in sync with Selara's, every pulse a tether to reality. One of the Overseers emerged fully, a being of translucent crystal, energy flowing like rivers beneath its surface. Its gaze, it was everywhere, inside me, inside Selara, inside Quinn. I felt my thoughts exposed, my fears, my hope, my trust. Jeremy, Selara whispered, almost trembling, you must prove yourself. Not for me, for both our species. I nodded, trying to steady the chaos inside me. I focused, my heartbeat, my choice, my intent, pure, unwavering. Protect her, anchor her, choose her. The Overseer's crystal form pulsed. Its voice wasn't sound, it was thought flooding the chamber. You are worthy. For now. Selara exhaled, silver light dimming slightly, but the core's pulse remained alive, vibrant, thrumming with new strength. Quinn stepped closer, her device now inactive. You've passed their test, she murmured, but this is only the beginning. The core is awake, and others will come. I looked at Selara. Her violet glow returned, softer, warmer. We have to leave, she said. Now. Before the Overseers reconsider, a metallic rumble shook the chamber. The floor cracked, shadows twisted along the walls, and in the distance, from beyond the chamber's shattered ceiling, a fleet of unknown vessels descended, engines humming with an ominous rhythm. Selara's hand tightened in mine. Jeremy, whatever happens next, we face it together. I nodded. My pulse synced with hers. Our bond, forged in survival, strengthened in judgment, was unbreakable, at least for now. The sky cracked open, not with fire but with light, blinding white gold spilling across the ruins of the chamber like liquid glass. The descending fleet hovered above, shadows stretching across the walls like silent predators. My chest throbbed, but I barely noticed. Selara's hand in mine anchored me, pulse to pulse, heartbeat to heartbeat. Jeremy, whatever happens, listen to me, she said, her voice calm yet sharp, as if the core itself spoke through her. The core, it's changing, faster than we thought. It's aware. Aware. The word felt heavy, dangerous. I didn't need to ask what she meant. The core's threads of silver energy swirled around us, stretching outward, probing, reading the incoming ships. The air vibrated with a resonance I could feel in my bones, tugging at something primal inside me. Quinn crouched near a console, fingers dancing over controls. They're shields. They're no match for the core. But they're not attacking yet. They're scanning, assessing, judging, and, her voice dropped, almost a whisper, they've recognized you, Jeremy. I froze. Recognized me? Me? Selara's eyes glowed brighter. Yes, the core's judgment extended beyond us. It knows your bloodline, your choices, your loyalty. You are part of it now, part of its ascension. A chill ran through me. Ascension? Before she could answer, the fleet opened. Energy beams tore through the upper walls of the chamber, slicing the air with lethal precision. Time seemed to slow. I could see each projectile's path, every particle of dust disturbed, every thread of silver light from Selara's body, bending the attacks harmlessly aside. "Jeremy, we have to move," Quinn yelled, but I couldn't. I couldn't look away. The core pulsed in response to Selara's breath, and every pulse echoed inside me. She whispered, "The core? It will not allow them to take me, or us. But you must choose. Fully. My mind raced. Choice. I had always acted instinctively, reacting, shielding, surviving. But now the core demanded intention, clarity. I could feel my heart's decision shaping reality. I didn't hesitate. I gripped her hand tighter. "I choose you. Completely. Not because I must, but because I want to. Because you exist, and I exist, and nothing else matters." The core responded instantly. Silver threads surged, stretching upward, wrapping around the chamber, engulfing the descending ships. Light twisted into impossible geometries, reshaping gravity, space, even time. The fleet struggled, reality bending against them, engines screaming as they became trapped in loops of temporal energy. Selara's glow flared, brighter than ever. "Jeremy, now!" I reached into the core of the chamber, into the pulsing heart of the core itself. Energy surged into me, not painful, not overwhelming, just everything. Memories of extinct civilizations, whispers of the core's original creators, the suffering and hope of Selara's people, and beneath it all, a single constant, our bond. Then I saw it, the final truth. The overseers hadn't just judged us. They had been tests, their arrival, their observation, all a setup to push the core's potential to its limits. And the fleet? Not invaders, yet. They were emissaries, sent to observe who could wield the core responsibly. Selara's voice trembled, soft but firm. "Jeremy, you must decide. Will you let the core choose you, or will you choose it?" I realized then, the core didn't act on instinct alone. It amplified intent. It mirrored the deepest desire of whoever controlled it. And if I hesitated, even for a moment, everything, everyone, would be consumed in its surge. I exhaled slowly. I choose us, together. Selara, not the core alone. Us. Together the core pulsed, a heartbeat answering ours. Silver threads enveloped me, then her, binding us in light, reshaping the chamber into a cocoon of shimmering energy. I felt everything, the fleet, the overseers, the core's creators, all distant, irrelevant. Only the two of us remained, tethered by choice, will, and trust. Then, a figure emerged from the light. Not hostile, not human, not fully alien, something beyond definition, shimmering with fractal energy. The last overseer, its crystal body fractured into patterns of pure light, then aligned itself around us. It spoke, not with sound, but mind. "You have chosen wisely, but the galaxy, the universe, has already begun to notice. Others will come, and when they do, your bond will be tested beyond survival." Selara's hand squeezed mine. "Then we'll face them. Together." "Whatever it takes," I nodded. My chest burned. Not from fear, not from exertion, but from the weight of possibility, from knowing that this was just the beginning, and yet for the first time, I felt something I had never felt before. Certainty. The light of the core shifted, coiling upward, shooting beyond the shattered chamber roof. The descending fleet paused midair, frozen by the new pulse of energy emanating from us. Time itself seemed to bend around our presence. And then, silence. Selara's bioluminescence dimmed to a gentle shimmer. Her eyes met mine, unguarded, luminous with something older than survival. "I think," she whispered, voice trembling but steady, they finally understand. Not just what we are, but who we are." I smiled, though my chest felt tight, every nerve alive. and they'll never forget it. Then she leaned closer, forehead to mine, and whispered, almost teasing, almost reverent, "Jeremy, human, cover me." And in that moment, I realized I wasn't just protecting her anymore. I was becoming part of something beyond anything I could have imagined. Something infinite, something alive. The core pulsed one final time, and the universe exhaled.